done, I just ignore it. So now I'm doing experiments like this, doing surreal kind of images, which is kind of dreamy, nightmarish. Then the next image, Subodh. Yeah, so this is part of the culture and festivals I'm doing right now. I shoot a lot of Theyyams, but as you know, Theyyams are too much. It's like Holi festival now. Everybody does Theyyam festival now. Everybody shoots a lot of. You can see a lot of Theyyam images now. But how you can come out with something different from the usually seen is what I'm experimenting now. Because all these festivals, everything's being captured by many photographers. You go to any events, you can see maximum number of photographers anywhere around. So what you can do to bring some new perspective of the usually seen is what I'm experimenting now. I do a lot of my street approach on all of these festivals. So you get different kind of imageries from the usually seen. This is what I'm doing right now. So this is my current state now.
Okay. Okay. Just to inform you guys that there was some issues in recording the session. So the record has begun like a minute before. So the session will be recorded from what Sreeranj was saying onwards. So from here on, everything is under record. Yeah.
Hello.
Yeah, go ahead, go ahead.
Yeah, I am Dibyendu Datta from Kolkata. This question is for Sreeranj. Actually, I want to know, since you are doing both of it, like extreme street and along with documentation and festivals, like how is street photography helping you in doing these festival documentation? I understand all those pictures that you actually shoot are quite dramatic and quite different from the normal travel and festival documentation that we see everywhere. Now, I just want to know your opinion regarding this. Thank you.
Yeah, hi Dibyendu. Thanks for joining. Well, you already said the answer is already in the question. Like you find it different from the usual images that you see. It's because of the principles of street I apply on these culture and festivals. I normally try to find, like previously when somebody asked about the composition elements, I apply all the composition, the techniques that I learned in street photography in these kind of festivals and culture and documenting this culture. So sometimes there will be normal documentary shots in the series. Along with that, I club some of my street approach also in that. So if you see the whole project, the series, you'll be able to find mix and match of all these kind of shots. So this is it's kind of innate behavior in me now. It comes quite natural.
So there is some influence of streets in the documentary.
Very much. Because otherwise it will be like normal what others are shooting. You know.
That's right.
Like you try to find something beautiful. I don't want to show something which is beautiful anymore. I'm doing a series on Theyyam also. Like it's called Half-Lit Gods. It's about play of light and shadows with Theyyam. Theyyam is basically, there is a fear factor in Theyyam also. So I'm trying to concentrate on that aspect and showcasing, but I haven't published or I haven't shown most of the images of that.
So moving to the next question, which is about fear, because street is all about invading certain places. You know, as Aniruddha sir showed us the picture, he's literally so close to the next person. So that is something that a lot of people find very hard, you know, approaching, getting into the crowd and, you know, like being invisible at the same time being there. So that is something which a lot of people may have issues tackling. So the fear and the comfort and the approach of the in-street photographers with us. So that's what we are trying to explore next, starting with the Saumalya.
Yeah, so basically, first thing I would say, you need to understand your environment, which environment you are shooting at. Like, I have to have a good knowledge about my surroundings. If I am very new to a particular, it's not about photography, it's about anything. Like if I'm new to a certain environment, until unless I know about that environment, how to respond in that environment or how to react in that environment, I cannot really, start shooting. So I have to, so as you were saying, Subodh, Dubai and India is two different places in terms of shooting street photography, because you already know the kind of restrictions Dubai have. So the way I shoot in India, I cannot shoot the same way in Dubai.
That's right.
Similarly, the restrictions you have in Dubai, that those restrictions do not exist in India. Even in India, it depends on what I'm shooting. If you see the image here, see, in India, basically shooting street photography in general is easy because people hardly cares. People do not care. You can go to any crowded place, any city, and you can start shooting. People hardly cares. But still, among those situations also, you need to understand, like here in this particular image, this is though in Benares, but where women are bathing. So here I cannot really stand for a long time and start and shoot. So this was the image you are seeing. This is the first image. I just went there, I clicked, and I went out. I didn't stand there for a while. It was just a first image. I went, I clicked, and I went out. I didn't even look at the image. So I went outside, and then I saw what came out. So maybe it was a bit luck that my frame was good enough. So I perceived that image before I went, and I shoot, and I went outside. But one more thing here we need to also remember, because I am shooting people in candid situations, so I have to respect people. Like what I am showing, I have to remember that the people I am shooting, I should not disrespect them in my image. So that responsibility lies on me, because I am shooting people unknowingly. I'm intruding into somebody's privacy who do not know that I am shooting their image. So I cannot shoot something, or I cannot show something which is disrespectful in my thinking to my elements, human elements who are there in my image. So as I said, like for this image, the approach is I just went. My first image is the shot, and that I went outside. If you go to the next image, so here the situation was different. Here I saw the cow is there, and the man who is in front in the foreground, he was like praying, and the other people in the background, they were just moving. Some people were, it's a typical India scene where Gomata is Hinduism, cow is, considered as a something sacred. So people are like offering some prayers to the cow also, and some people are going. So this is a situation where the situation unfolds in front of you. I know I am comfortable there, I am staying there, and being invisible is easy here. Like you go there, you stand for a while, after some time, after 5 minutes, 10 minutes, people get bored of you. So you are basically invisible. Though you are there, but people do not care about you. So that way you are invisible. So then I click, and I wait for the moment when everything, all the elements fall in place. So I thought this is a prime moment where three people's leg is on the air, and as you see, like somebody is praying and somebody is in the front. So it's a well composed shot, I believe, according to my test.
Yeah, approach. So, you mean to say approach has to change according to the scene?
Approach, in the two different image, that approach is totally different. In the first image, my approach was according to that situation. In this image, approach is according to this situation. So you have to understand your situation first, and then you change your approach according to your situation.
Right.
That's what I understand.
Yeah. Coming, since we had very few pictures in this section, I just decided to put two of mine and throw in my 2 cents. In my case, not in my case generally, but also another way to approach would be not to concentrate too much on humans. There are so many other things. Like we'll come to the next section, which is about still life in streets. If you have the fear of humans, shoot the still life. Otherwise, you can always play around with the animals, the elements which are available in the scene. For example, here dogs. So there can always be approach which can be different to different people. So if you're very uncomfortable being on street and shooting humans, try something else, and then progress yourself, promote yourself to get comfortable with humans. So that could be another approach which I just wanted to add. So now coming to the next part, which is again part of fear, there is confrontations.
But Subodh, I need to add to what you said
please.
right now. Actually, shooting this itself it takes it to the next level, because it's very difficult to, first of all, identifying to include animals or anything in the streets. Like it's a next level of
Yeah,
thinking from the starting level of photography. Because
yeah,
initially you feel that everything you need to shoot on the streets, you need to have people, etc.
that's right.
But next thing is that like you have shot, the way you have positioned these animals and everything. There's a moment included in it.
Right.
So to identify such shots, you need to have a lot of experience in trying to see where you need to place the animals, and just by placing animals doesn't mean it's a street
That's right.
photograph.
That's right. There has to be
Yeah,
order in the
yeah.
chaos. Yeah,
There has to be some kind of moments along with these animals. Then it becomes.
that's true. That's true. That's true. Moments can never be removed out of the pictures. Yeah, so that's
Exactly.
always there. Yeah. Coming to the next one, expanding the same question. You are entering a space and you're shooting the people. Okay, everything is good, but there comes a moment at times when there is confrontations. The person may get angry at you. They may shout at you. They may ask you to delete the pictures. There can even be a fist fight if it goes to that level. There can be a mob in the worst case situations. So how do you guys deal with confrontation? That is the next question when it comes to being on streets and approaching the private spaces.
So basically, you can. This is my. So you can. There is
Uh,
Banaras.
Dear
Banaras
Rajpal, can you please mute your audio? We're getting a lot of disturbance from your end. Yeah, please continue.
Yeah, this is in Banaras, Manikarnika Ghat. It's a, yeah, as many of the people know. So this is a cremation ghat, famous cremation ghat in Banaras. So you can show the images first, both, then
Yeah,
I'll talk about.
yeah, yeah.
So all these images are shot in the same place, Manikarnika Ghat. It's a cremation ghat. So basically, it's kind of a series where
Yeah, I think that's the series.
so now so basically it's the same place. I am shooting from the morning till the late night, 1 day 2 days. So first thing is, this place is not, people cannot shoot at this place. This is not allowed.
It's a very
Uh,
sensitive place. A lot of confrontations
Very
do happen
sensitive
here.
place.
Yeah,
Shooting is not allowed. You can sneak peek and shoot some images from here and there outside, but doing a full body of work from this place. If you want to do a body of work from this place, means you have to inform these people and you have to get the you know uh, acceptance first. Otherwise, you cannot shoot, because that way I can only shoot only 1 or 2 images. But if I have to create a body of work, I have to let these people know that I want to shoot this place, and I have to get an agreement first. Without that agreement, you cannot really shoot this place. So that here in this particular situation, your homework is you have to do the homework first. You have to get there. You have to talk to people, and whatever way you have to first get that affirmation. Yes, you are allowed to do that. So
okay.
I had to do that. I have to be at this place for so many times. I have been to Benares for many times. I have been visiting that place, and I have been talking to people. So finally, I was able to convince them I want to shoot this place, and finally people agreed. Uh, and there is no single body who will give you agreement. One person will say okay, you can shoot. Other person will say no, you cannot shoot. It's like that also. So somehow, so basically, again, like, you need to know your environment. You have to talk to people. You have to get comfortable first. But still, after some point in time, there might be some unforeseen situations where you might face confrontation. So I would only say, be gentle, be polite, and I'll say sorry. If somebody says okay, you are creating a nuisance, you are doing, so I'll say sorry, or I'll say okay, I didn't know that, maybe some fake. But basically, we are if we are as if we are shooting people without taking their permission, so they have all rights to say anything at our face. So you have to be polite. You have to say sorry, smile. If that works, then fine. If it doesn't, then surrender, delete the image and go away. There is no other way.
That's right. That's right. It's better not to get into a confrontation. Better to
There is
dilute the situation.
there is no point in trying to be over smart or
Yeah.
trying to dodge the situation. There is no point. We are shooting people without their permission, so we have to always be polite in nature. That's what I believe. And be confident also. You should not behave like a thief. So I have to behave like, I have to be confident also, right?
That's right.
Like,
That's right.
yeah, but not overconfident.
Right. Sreeranj?
Yeah, I agree with what Shomalo has said, but that's basically he's shooting in a very restricted areas where you need a lot of permission, and it's a totally no zone for photography. But my case is that you see definitely that you don't like somebody, like you're walking with your family, your kids, somebody jumps in front and take pictures of your family. You don't like it definitely. So you need to respect that individuals, and you need to show that you are there to take the pictures. Sometimes when we lift the camera, people say don't take the pictures. So you respect that and you go. You just ignore. What I normally do is that just the previous image, I don't immediately lift my camera and shoot. I just stand there and I make them aware that I'm there to take the pictures. So in this case, he was fishing and this guy was, trying to remove the fish from the hook. At that time, I tried to shoot. Then he said, "Don't take the shot." But by the time I already taken the shot. So for me, that was a moment for me, that hand coming in front of the face. So
And the light on the hand.
yeah, that I anticipate, and I saw the light coming on his face, and the hand was lucky for me. So I took the shot. But if he would have said that, okay, delete the shot, I would have definitely deleted the shot. But I make sure I get the shot. So the next image also, I play a lot of with flash. So this guy was telling me, don't take the pictures, don't take the pictures. But by the time I got the emotions, I got everything ready. So I took the picture. So if he would have told me delete, I would have definitely deleted. But that is up to him. If he's more into a verbal argument or something, I won't go for that. I'll just delete and go. I respect that.
But how do
But
you
for
see
me,
this picture? Because there is kind of a interaction, even though it's not a very intended interaction, but there's interaction. So do you still?
yeah,
It's a very thin line there.
Yeah, I went there. I started shooting in flash because this was a nice character. But for me, the image which really attracted me is this finger coming and he's telling me don't shoot. So that point of time, the flash firing on his face, that shadow coming from his hand, those things really excited me from that. And the interaction part is part of the process.
Yeah.
I'm not telling him to pose or anything. He's just
That's
interacting with me, and it's all about that emotions and that the kind of anger in his expression is what matters.
Slice of the moment. Yeah.
Exactly. For this one, this is a famous festival in Kerala called Kodungalur Bharani. It's on this 3 days you get full of oracles, in full of trance. They hit their head with the swords, blood coming in. So I was standing in front of the temple, like my backside is a temple entrance, and people has to these are oracles who come and they have to pray in front of the goddess, which is right in back of me. I was standing here, and this guy was very close to me. So he came and he was in trance and he was praying, and I was firing flash on him. And initially he was not aware of the flash firing because he was so much in this trance and praying. Then he realized I was so close to him, and he got angry. He got a stick and he came to hit me. I just stood in front of him. I prayed, and then he thought, okay, just leave it. So that's the approach I did. But for me, I know that this in such situations you get confrontations. People might get angry, but that's the part of the whole thing, And otherwise, for me, I don't get the expected images that I want to. But some people are okay with it. Some people. So I assume that everybody is okay. But some people get angry. I might get hit. But wherever it's possible, stay away from any confrontation, because your life and your health is more important.
That's right.
Sreeranj sir, is it
Yeah.
okay to approach street photography with flash?
We'll come
I
to that
do.
part in the end. We'll come
I
to the
do.
part in the end.
Okay.
Yeah, we have a whole section for that. Okay, so coming to the next part, which is street minus humans. What we mean to say here is that, as we discussed, there is a good amount of streets in the still life. There doesn't have to be a human in every picture to make a street shot. So we're going to discuss that in this particular section, starting with Sreeranj.
Yeah, as I told you, to identify these kind of shots, you need a lot of practice. You need a lot of seeing to get on the streets. So anything that you shoot without humans cannot be termed as a street photography. In order for it to be termed as a street photography, there should be some kind of story, some kind of, as I say, there's some kind of surprise element in it. It is very difficult to find these kind of shots on the streets, because that you need to train your eyes a lot. You need to shoot quite a lot to see these kind of shots. So as I was telling Subodh also, even though you think that you can shoot anything without humans also, but how does that image can be termed as a street? Is that what you have to see?
What is the X factor? That is the main point.
X factor, exactly, yes. If you see here, the story leaves to the interpretation of the viewers. I get a lot of comments like, is it racism? Is it something bold? That many kind of interpretations. So it's basically how I framed it, because there are a lot of seagulls on the right side, the left side. There were many crows on the right and left side, but I only try to include one crow and the few seagulls at the background, because as we say, street photography is making a lie out of reality. It is what you put inside the frame and what you remove from the frame also matches.
That's right.
Yeah. So
the moment there is interpretations, that means you have succeeded in making a good picture.
Exactly. Yes. Exactly. Yes.
Jayati ji, can you come in?
Yeah. Human presence is, human element is, for me, is not always necessary, but a human presence, there's a feel of presence of human beings should be there. For example, you can understand that there's these slippers which were left behind outside a school, and this belonged to some ladies, men, whoever, but human beings. So for me, although there's no human element per se, but there is a sense of presence of it.
Okay.
The next one also, I have one more, I think.
Yeah.
See, these are animals, but then the moment this goat had that sweater on, there was a presence of human touch here. And this was really very intriguing to see a goat on one of the ghats of Banaras, wearing a sweater that, and the horizontal lines were also somehow connecting with the environment.
And I think also the X factor here is that only 2 legs of the goat is visible. It looks like it literally has only 2 legs. Other 2 are just gone. Yeah. It creates a nice illusion.
And there's not a single human being present here.
Yeah.
So the street presence of, although some of us, we like to shoot with people in the frame, but this is also possible that presence of human beings is not always necessary when you have your content.
Right. Saumalya?
Yeah. So this is a still life, but as you see, so when I'm shooting a still life, and obviously see there is a human touch, because it's a home, it's a door, it's a closed door. There is a poster outside the door, but so otherwise this is a very so it's a place where everything is static, right? This image is a static image. So making an interesting image out of a static situation is more challenging, I would rather say, because anyway I have full time in my hand, nothing is moving away. So the way I am framing, the way I am choosing my frame is more important. How can I make a interesting story out of a, otherwise very normal, a door and a, poster outside. So creating a story out of a situation like this is important, I believe. So, and it's open to interpretation also. People can think, create their own interpretation out of that image. Yeah, this is also similar. It's just a, normal juxtaposition sort. And this is about animals. So as Sreeranj was also telling, like the crow versus seagull image. So that is a different image, and that has, different type of interpretation. So I believe, like when you are shooting animals, so shooting animals is not enough. the way you are composing or the story you are creating out of that situation is very important. Here there is no story, but here for me the composition is interesting. That's why I kept this image. So there is, I was there in this particular situation for around 30 to 40 minutes. There are 3-4 cats which are moving here and there. So I was shooting, I was just sitting outside this door and I was shooting. So I was shooting for 30 minutes, and this is the image I selected because I found, okay, the formation of the 3 cats position is good. Obviously with the background also, interesting background. This is also, yeah, it's all about composition. It's like a parking place. It's shoot at Puskar, so all the birds were sitting on top of this camel. So it's about composition only, an interesting composition out of animals.
Aniruddha ji, can you come in?
Yeah, a couple of takeaways, couple of things to highlight here. If you're trying to actually express something surreal, what I found interesting is that if you make your main character less visible or invisible without sacrificing its presence, it adds a lot of mystery to the whole scene. And actually it helps you to create the effect that you want to create. The second aspect is inclusion of animals, where and animals become important because since they can't hold any expression on their faces, they create a lot of thematic contrast with the main element. So this actually uses both a less present human being and the animals contrasting. And if you see carefully that there is a mark on the wall which looks like a lady sitting. So actually this is at a parking lot in Old Delhi where I used to park my car every Sunday morning, and I used to aim for this shot. So, I got it maybe after a couple of months. Early morning, this shadow comes when people pass by. So this I had in mind to create a very surreal kind of a shot, and that's how it came about. And the smaller elements like something in the in the mouth of that one crow and the small mark on the wall, they actually helped me create this.
And a shadow of another bird on the top.
And the shadow of another bird.
Great. So moving to the very next topic, which is patience. Patience is the virtue, and it's something that's common to all kinds of photography. Fortunately, one thing common to all kinds is patience. Whether it's landscape guy waiting for his sunset, Milky Way guys waiting for their Milky Way to rise up, or in streets, there's a lot of patience that is required. So the next topic will be about that. I'd like to start with Saumalya.
Yeah. So basically, the same thing. Like if children were playing, two kids were playing with balloons, so they're playing. So otherwise, it's a very normal situation, and it's easy to also when kids are playing, it's very easy to shoot because kids most of the time do not bother.
Your voice is
Plays
breaking.
a very key in both the previous
Voice is breaking continuously.
Yeah, but it's okay.
Can't
Continue.
be heard.
Continue. It's fine now.
Okay.
Yeah.
So so here in this image also, this is a pet dog, and this he was playing with this kid. So they are basically jumping into the water, and they're jumping into the water and then coming back and standing on this platform and again jumping into the water, and they're doing it. And I was just sitting there, and I was there for around 30 to 40 minutes, and I was constantly shooting. And almost during the end, I got this image where I found a very similar pattern between this, not almost exact pattern. Their body language, their body position, almost a replica. It's a mirror image for them. So basically, yeah, the dog is following its owner, and their body position posture is exactly same. So without patience, this kind of output I would have not be able to attain this kind of result without patience, I believe.
That's right. That's right. Suresh ji, I think Suresh has been quiet for a while now, so I hope he's still there.
Yeah, I'm still here. I'm still here.
Yeah.
It's been interesting to listen to all my colleagues here. Yeah, no, to add on what Somal was saying, and what I've been also telling to a lot of people whenever I do reviews of images and that kind of stuff is the question that I've always asked is, have you worked the scene? When you come across a scene which is interesting, don't take 1-2 shots and then leave. Sometimes you're lucky, the first 1 or 2 shots will be like the best and that's it. But for example, in this particular case, I don't know, I came across this these guys carrying these mirrors. They were actually delivering, I don't know, 20, 30 different mirrors. I shot and I stayed with them. I stayed with them for maybe an hour. As many mirrors as they were carrying, I was taking shots, tried different angles, tried, shooting low, shooting high, working the scene. And that's really crucial. I mean, if you can see the highlighted picture in the previous shot was the one where I started, and the highlighted picture here, so 266, is the one I got. I mean, I took 46 shots, and then I shot a few more just to make sure that I got the one. But it was almost like the last one I got before I was happy with the picture. So don't take 1 or 2 shots of a scene. When there's potential, just try as many angles as possible. At some point, you will get something that you'll be happy with.
But what's interesting here is even after the 266, you went on because maybe there's something more. Maybe there's something
you
better.
never know.
Yeah, you never know.
Exactly. So I mean, as long as the situation is happening, just take the shot. As long as the people are okay with you taking the shot, there's nothing wrong in you getting more angles and trying more.
That's right.
Yeah, you might come up with more than one good shot in such scenario.
Right. To add my 2 cents to this, again, patience. We are talking of patience. You can also just looking at this picture, you can imagine those crows. Are not under my control. First of all, humans are not under my control because I'm not interfering with them. But my point here was to get the person between the branches. That one guy in the between the branch framed. So I was just waiting for that. And the wait continued, and as I saw, 1 crow came in, 2nd crow came in, 3rd crow came in, and then there are many more shots where the crows are looking towards me or towards the bridge there, Howrah Bridge. At one point, they start looking diagonally, and you get their profile. All those things, little things, happens only when you give it time. You need to let it marinate. Then the crows flew away. Then you continue to wait, continue to improve, and at one point, you end up with a shot. And even in this case, which is in Varanasi, the ball in the air, that made my picture. We are talking of X factor. That X factor here is the ball in the air. So even for that, you need to dance around the frame. You need to run behind the kids. You need to be one of the kids and just let it happen and let it go with the flow. So even here, the moment the ball lands in his hand is my X factor. And to get to this point, you have to make number of shots. You need to sweat it out. Don't just think that pictures would just come to you. You have to make pictures happen. So now going to the next point, which is a very complicated.
Subodh, I would like to add 2 cents to that.
Yes, please.
Yeah, it's street photography. You need to have some matter of luck as well. The more you try to shoot, those X factors which you were just trying to describe, sometimes we anticipate it to happen, sometimes it doesn't happen.
Oh, that's very, very common, right?
So luck plays a very important role. Now, another point which you told, discussing with Suresh on that, he continued shooting because the moment we think that we got the shot, might be more different than when we continue shooting and we might have got a better shot in the later stages. So when we just try to stop where we are shooting, I think we might, if we take a chance like Suresh was doing, we could have got a better, we can get a better shot if we continue shooting, because once we go back home, maybe the shot which we thought is better may not be that good, where we'll find something surprise or some other shots which we didn't think will work much better.
Absolutely true. Absolutely. So now coming to the one of the main parts of streets, which is layers. Layers is highly discussed in street photography, and that's where people struggle a lot. A lot of failures happen in this particular section of street photography. So now we are going to talk about layers and layers only, starting with Suresh.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely layers is one of the most difficult types of pictures that you can take, because basically what you're going to do is that you're going to shoot a picture where elements that you don't control will be there in the foreground, middle ground, background, maybe not 3 layers, but maybe you'll have people or things in 4, 5, 6 layers. I mean, if you look at the work of Alex Webb or Vinit, you'll see it. I mean, it will be filled across the frame, across all the different planes with very limited overlaps. One way I normally shoot layers is that I try to find one element in the frame that I can use as an anchor, a static point. It can be a wall, or in this case, for example, it can be this sandcastle. So sandcastle, if you basically, I've shot again, comes back to the previous topic of patience. I've shot, I don't know, again 50, maybe 60 shots. Some of them were better, some of them were complete garbage. But I used this sandcastle as my foreground, as one static element, and started composing around it. I started noticing that people in the background were almost the same height as the little toys, and then you had people who were building the castle were actually much bigger. So then, finally I got one shot, which is the one you're showing on the screen, where everything kind of fell into place. Again, you can see the number of shots that I've taken, probably another 50 shots or so. But if you just can go back to the shot, I mean the final shot, which is the previous one. Sorry, went to next one.
This one, right? The main one, the first one.
Yeah, the main one. Sorry, I think there's a lag on my side.
Yeah,
so
that's why I switched off my video to make it faster. I hope it's on your
Okay.
screen now.
Still
Not yet?
seeing the previous one, not the final one.
Okay, the final
I'll
one was
come.
the first one. It's already on my screen.
No, the final one is the third one.
Okay, this one. Okay, here you go.
Yeah, this one. So again, here, all of a sudden, all the elements were falling into place. There's actually literally no overlap. You can see the kids in the background, which are the same size as the toys. You have these two characters who are like kind of, Gulliver's Travel, giant creatures. So yeah, the layers, it's again one of the areas where patience, luck, all these elements are very important, because you can't control. Unlike when it's a picture with 1 or 2 subjects where you can kind of anticipate, when you have like here I have 4, 5, 7, 7 different human beings. So you can't control where they're going to position themselves. But with, working the scene, anticipating, and somehow obviously luck, then they all fall into place. But
Right.
yeah, that's what I really love about layers, is basically you're kind of an orchestra chef, and controlling all these characters.
Aniruddha ji, can you come in?
Yeah, so I have a few pictures here. Layers actually has become my second nature, and I actually now question myself, why is it that way? There are great pictures without using layers. But coming to this, this scene is simple, probably not arranged exactly in that fashion. A cattle trader lighting his sort of bidi or cigarette, if we may say. Going back one step back is that I was again probably standing 1 foot away from this guy, and how come he is not even aware of me? I'm probably going back one question before. That is because I had already chatted with him for a long time. I knew his name, which village he came from in Rajasthan or wherever, how much he is selling, what are his problems and all that. So after a while, he didn't even bother about it. So, and I could go on shooting. I probably took many more shots. I've given 5 here. The entire sequence of his lighting a bidi, and which one did I choose and why. The reason I chose the one that I did, not this one, yeah, this one, is because somehow I felt that each element in the composition, each element in each layer must be most vocal, and that's the frame that I would choose. If I now compare all the 5 here, the background layer, the one that I have chosen, I thought the people at the background, they were most active, most vocal in this particular frame. And secondly, the matchbox in his hand, the pop of red in this whole frame is adding to it. That was the reason I chose it. But as Suresh was saying, I went on shooting till he sort of got up and walked away. So that's how the whole thing ran.
Right, right. Saumalya, can you come in?
Yeah. So yeah, I would agree with whatever.
This is layers on steroid, yeah.
Yeah.
This is layers on steroid.
Yeah. I would agree with what Suresh said. So basically, when you are dealing with many elements, first you have to decide on your anchor elements. Like, what is your anchor elements means first I have to decide on the frame. So I cannot change the frame a lot. When I'm shooting layers, first I have to freeze the frame. What is my area of coverage? And then I decide on what are the elements, or what are the static elements. The static elements can be in the foreground, in the middle ground, or even in the background, wherever. So because static, I have to frame in a way, because ultimately I have to separate elements, because until unless I am able to separate all the elements from each other, so the formation will not happen. It will be messy. So to ensure that my separation of elements are proper, so I have to find out the anchor elements. So in this particular situation, my anchor elements were not in foreground, rather they were in background. People were sitting on the tree in different branches. They are more or less not moving. So then I need to choose a position where my foreground elements are moving in this particular situation. Some people are coming, some people are moving on, because I was lying down on the, as basically literally I was lying down on the floor, and as my camera was towards the tree, and people are walking over. So I have to find a window where in a situation where I can have my background visible, as well as I have some elements in foreground to balance. Right. So I was shooting, and finally I found, okay, this is more or less alignment where I have my foregrounds are also, giving an aperture, so that I have the background elements in place, and my entire frame is filled properly without any, without much overlap. So yeah.
Right.
Next.
Saumalya, I have a question. Was this shot on a fixed?
Your voice is breaking, I think.
Okay. So yeah, this is the second image. Similar, like process is very similar. This is just another example. Here also middle ground and background was more or less static. My foreground was changing. Only my foreground was more dynamic than my background. My middle ground was static. Even my background also static. Only one person was smoking. So I wanted to make sure when he smokes and his smokes are out, I'll capture that moment, and along with that, my foreground 2 dogs are playing. So I'll have a climax moment in the foreground and a climax moment in the background, and my middle ground is more or less static. So next.
I think I've changed the slide.
Yeah. So again, this is also similar situation. This was little more challenging. Only my foreground person was lying down. He was static, but all other people who are like doing kusti and people are moving, they were moving from here to there. So, and the light was also not great because outside light was more harsh and inside light was very, But anyway, it's all about, arranging your elements in a place so that you get a good separation of elements, and as well as you get a good moment also. That's it. Similar. It's a similar approach. Here, more or less foreground, background, everything was moving.
Yeah.
Middle ground.
Very dynamic scene.
Yeah. Yeah. This is also, there are some static elements, some dynamic elements. It's all depends how you, synchronize, how you balance. Yeah. Same.
Yeah. Yeah. Now coming to the almost to the concluding side of the session. I know we have taken more time than we promised to, and I really don't mind. But yeah, coming to the next part, which is projects.
Subodh,
Yeah.
sorry, Subodh, I have one question.
Yeah.
I have one question to Suresh.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah. Hey, hi, Suresh. I really like your style of work, man.
Thank you.
Especially the shot which you made in Kolkata. It was very trippy, actually. The umbrella and slippers without a human existence. It was an amazing shot. Suresh, the question for you is like, I liked one of your shots. Like, I think you shot it in some airport, I guess, where you connected a body on a trailer and then a human head. Remember the shot?
Yeah. The bottom part is like a poster of a skateboard.
Poster of
and
a
the guy,
yeah, exactly, and the guy's body. So these kind of shots, like get often replicated. So it's not inspired, but they actually do the same shots and again. How do you see this trend? You create something new, and people like just reproduce the same thing.
See, to me, and it's probably one of the shots that got the maximum number of likes online, you know, whether it's Facebook or Instagram, because these are usually shots which are, one-line jokes. You look at it, even on a small screen, on a phone, you understand it, it's well seen, that's it. To me, these kind of shots are not what, I mean, I take them when I see them, but they're not like really representative of what I want to shoot in the street. Right? I mean, they're nice shots, but they're one-line jokes. You get what I'm trying to say?
Yeah.
So normally these kind of shots will get a lot of appreciation. That's why a lot of people actually take these kind of shots. So. But it doesn't mean that it's wrong. It's just that usually these are the trends. Easy viewing doesn't require too much, attention from the viewer. He looks at it, high impact, understands. That's it.
So I was like more about the replication of work actually. So people do the same shot actually. I saw like other few shots in some photographic groups with the same thing. Exact same thing which is being like replicated.
Yeah, well, I mean, what can you do? You know, people like to see. I mean, maybe they see these kind of shots, they want to repeat it. That's that's what they do.
5 minutes
you
of
can't
fame.
Prevent people from. Yeah, exactly. I mean, you can't prevent anybody from doing it. In a sense, if they replicate your work, it's also kind of flattering for you. It means that your work is something that talk to them and they want to try to do the same. It's okay.
Thanks,
Right.
Suresh.
I would like to add to that as well. For the viewers, there is a site, social media page called Street Repeat. It's handled by a lady, a Polish, I forgot her name. It's a very good handle. And what she does is that she collects all these repeated type of images and sequence and keep it together. There are 3 images. So you will get to see that how different people shot the same scene, at different times of or different places. Now, about Suresh shot, I would like to add my point of view is that maybe the photographer, he was a photographer and he must be a street photographer. These people see it very quickly, not necessarily that he's trying to copy Suresh or somebody else. So this is what I also would like to add to it.
Okay. So moving on to the next topic, which is projects. The very first set of pictures are from Aniruddha. Sir, can you come in, please?
Yeah, as I said right at the beginning, there are more into projects now, not really single shot. If it comes along, obviously I don't say no, but more into projects. Just because the discovery part has become more important to me rather than just going out and shoot anything or everything that comes along. When I start, actually I'm working on 3, 4, none of them are complete. Even this is not complete. But when the entire passion is to try and understand the time that we live in. And when I try to dissect the time that we live in, somewhere down the line and the religion that we belong to, though I'm not a religious person at all, we somehow figure out that there is a lot is to do with the rivers that we live along, be it New Delhi, Jamuna, or Varanasi, or Calcutta, or wherever. And the practices that we have, even the social practices, which my grandfather or grandmother used to have, or what we have, they revolve around this. And what the original intention was to capture the life around the rivers now, the water pollution and all of that. But as I started going deeper into it, the symbolism that and the eternity that our life still has, which has to do with the rivers, is coming again and again, still very valid, as valid as they were maybe 300 years back. So I'm still at it, trying to capture various aspects of it. You see, each of the symbols is more. What is more important is each of the elements which appear in the scene, they actually carry a meaning, a religious meaning. So that's what I'm trying to do in this series. There are 4 or 5 of them. One I have shown them right in the beginning. So that's one of the 3 or 4 main projects that I'm working on right now.
But the question would be, how would you come up with the idea? Like, how do you choose a project? How does it click? Okay.
The frank answer would be really, I'm not making money out of it. So it's wherever my passion takes me. Essentially, it's a self-discovery. Okay. Trying to complete a cycle, what I heard from my mother or grandmother, and where it does take me. So where it's taking me is to try and understand the society and the time that I live in. And that's how I land up in these 3 topics that I'm trying to work on right now.
Okay, it comes from a personal, from an internal side within your family and traditions. Okay.
Well, not even family. It's all across.
It's tradition and religion. Okay. Society.
Yeah. That's it. Yeah, society. Not even religion. There is politics to it. There is economics to it. Right. But yeah, society is the best stuff.
Right. Jayati ji, can you come in and talk about your project which you're doing?
Yeah. See, this is not an ongoing project. This is the latest thing that I shot. This is a festival that I covered in Ethiopia, in a place called Lalibela, very, very, very remote place. This is on Christmas, according to the Ethiopian Orthodox Church, which is in January, not 25th December. So this is something I learned. I mean, I've seen these things only in movies. So it was a very exhilarating experience for me. I was there for about 7 days, and to see the faith, the passion, and I mean, they were in a different, everybody was in a, they were not in reality, as in, I mean, they appeared to be in a trance, every one of them. And they had walked 4 days, 5 days from their villages to come to these churches to celebrate Christmas.
All right. Okay. Is this the part of the same
yeah.
series?
Yes,
okay.
yes.
Okay. We have one more.
So there was a place where there's no electricity. I mean, it's absolutely dark. And so everybody, all these women were sitting, and I could just identify that people were sitting there by the white cloth, which could be just barely seen in the dark. And they were reading, she's reading a Bible. So everybody, she had a torch, somebody had a flashlight of the mobile phone. So they were all reading Bible. This is just before the time that Christ is born according to their calendar. I think it's not a Georgian calendar. They follow a different calendar.
But you have many more pictures which contribute to this particular project, I guess. Though we only see 3 here. Yeah.
Many. Yeah. I mean, if you are shooting, and it's just not the ritual or, the priest coming and talking to the devotees. There are people who have walked miles and miles to reach here, and when they're just staying on the open field, under the trees, they're cooking there. They're interacting with each other. One person from one village getting to know the other person. So it's over 7 days. I have really been a part of this entire their celebration.
Okay.
So there are many pictures, but I just
It gives an
gave 3
overview
because
as such.
already.
We see the overview of what it's all about. Yeah. So fabulous. So Sreeranj,
Yeah. It's been 2 years since I retired now. I settled in Kerala. I'm from a temple town called Guruvayur, which is a very famous temple in South India. So I'm currently documenting my temple town in whatever way I see, mostly street. I shoot there every day, and I shoot there every day, and maybe another 5 years time I might do an exhibition or publish a book or something like that. I'm trying to see the strangeness along with the including the sense of place in the image. This is what I'm trying to capture. Maybe this image might speak maybe for 50 years down the line. Somebody looks at it, they'll see that there's a sense of place. All it's changed. So many like this culture has changed. A lot of things have, even for the temple, has come up. So this is what I'm to show. Whatever I'm shooting, I'm including a sense of place in my shots, so that it gets maybe if you're 20, 30 years down the line, if you look at this image, it really stands out during that time. Fortunately,
how long do you expect to do this kind of project? Like, how long do you stick with the project?
This is an
there
ongoing
expiry date?
project. Actually, I don't know. It is an ongoing project. Maybe because more I shoot, when I come back home, I try to remove the old shots. So when I'm targeting maybe 3 years or 5 years down the line, if I get a good body of work, then I will stop there. Or
Right.
maybe I'll make it as a book, or I'll do an exhibition.
Right. So coming to the same topic, just expanding it a bit more. Right now, we are all stuck at home, and it's quite a challenging situation. And we saw Suresh's initial pictures of shooting at home. So definitely there is a lot of things to shoot at home if you keep your eyes open. So we're going to talk about quarantine projects, because maybe it will encourage someone today in this session to pick up their camera and shoot something at home. So coming to that particular thing, you have to remember what you see now is present days of these photographers who are going to show their work. So you can always make your pictures, starting with Sreeranj.
Yeah, so as a photographer, there's no stoppage in photographing. Just because the situation is that doesn't mean that you need to go out. The pictures are everywhere. You just need to see it. So
what is your dog called again? What is the name of your dog?
His name is Ringo. So
so this is Project Ringo.
Yeah, it's a project Lockdown. So he's my main character. So you have everything. You play around with him, and I shoot him every day. But that's my personal shots of him. But these are emotional shots, more creative kind of shots, which I want to include in this quarantine project. The reason I also want to show that there is no limitations in your way of seeing.
I don't know, where is this coming from?
What's happening here?
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So even if you're at home, you can play around with the light. You can play around with the moments. It's all about how you see. It's not an excuse that you want to go out or somewhere else, or you want to shoot. If you can practice it at your home itself, you will be able to find these kind of weird moments, and sometimes it becomes a project.
Right.
So for me, the main character is my dog, but it's not just the dog and the weird scenes.
Yeah. Right.
He looks so happy.
Yeah, of course, yes.
Corona, fortunately, there's no proof that it transfers to dogs, so we are fine.
Yeah.
So yeah, Jayati, your shots.
My parents. So, and I mean, they were kind of stranded without help. My father didn't know where to go, and I mean, how to get essentials. So I went and got them. They are about 45 minutes away from where I stay. So I went and got them, and they were so relieved. And I mean, I saw that smile on my father's face, and I was just sitting. We were just sitting for dinner. and there was this glass kept in front of me. And this is just a moment. I mean, I thought they were so relieved that, they had come and they're staying with me now. And but one thing during this lockdown, I have not. That's again, this is my balcony, and my father sitting, and he saw the camera in my hand, the phone. In fact, both are shot in mobile phone. He saw the mobile phone, and he understood I was taking a photograph. He was trying to set his hair, so that's why his hands are up. And but one thing about this lockdown, that I haven't seen corners of my house so carefully as I have been seeing for the last 3 weeks.
That's so true. That's so true.
And there are so many corners, so many moments, so many things I could do just inside the house, which this is the first time. I mean, I'm staying in this house for the last 14 years, but this is the first time in 14 years that I've started looking around.
Right. We humans have got a pause button right now. Yeah. Our life is on a pause.
Yeah.
So coming to the question that someone had
You're
asked,
breaking up. Sorry.
Coming to the question someone had asked initially, which is about Flash. How okay is it to get Flash on the streets? Because in streets, we try to keep ourselves invisible. But when you use a Flash, you're making yourself very visible. So you're literally calling out that I'm here. So how does it work? Let's talk about that with Sreeranj to begin with.
You see, you have to respect. That's a very important thing. I use Flash where my subjects are okay with anything what I do. They don't care my presence. In these environments, I use Flash. Now I'll tell you, I shoot Flash with on a lot of these festivals and all these events. But I do that because they just don't care. They don't mind if I use Flash or whatever. Only in such situations I fire Flash on them. But in the case of, let's say, Theyyam is a very religious, very respected festival in Kerala. There is a strict warning that you should not use Flash on Theyyams. So in such cases, I don't use Flashes. But still, I wish I could use a Flash, but I don't use Flash at all. And whoever I bring along with me, also I give them a study do's and don'ts. I tell them, most importantly, don't use Flash, because you should respect certain environments, certain situations, certain festivals. But like this is shot in Varanasi. Like everybody is so busy with themselves. I want to capture Varanasi in a different perspective. So these kind of flashed images only I thought can bring up a certain different imageries from usually seen Varanasi. So I use this flash. They are aware only once I use the flash, and I just leave. I don't stay there for long. If I get it, okay, I'm lucky. Otherwise, I don't go back and try any shots like that. These are all shots on festivals.
Just to add to that, maybe you can expand on the use of slow shutter. Like there's a kind of
yeah, I use slow shutter, and I use off-camera flash. And use of flash is very difficult, because you have to have the subjects in the right position where the light is falling. You need to have a good character, and you have to work around the characters. So it's all about trial and error. You have to change your shutter to get that blurry scenes. So if you use slow shutter, you will get this kind of surreal kind of imageries,
where everything moves, but
everything moves, but yeah. So when you fire the flash on your main subject, only that will be in focus, and the rest of things will be in motion.
Yeah, I think it especially works with these kind of pictures of festivals.
Correct.
Or on
exactly
where there's a busy scene. Yeah,
exactly. Not only that, you need to identify a character which goes along with this kind of images. It should be a person who does kind of facial expressions or these kind of characters with paintings. Then you work around them. This is what I do.
Right.
So
Suresh?
these are handheld. Sorry to interrupt.
Yeah.
So these are handheld slow shutter pictures.
Yeah, all handheld. Because when you fire the flash, your main subject will be in focus, and my intention is the rest to be in blur.
So the previous one where there was a lady on the steps, I guess it was Varanasi. Yeah, this one. So is the ISO high or what? I mean, how could you get the background like this?
This was around sunset time.
Okay.
You see, before I must have taken many shots before I reached the scene. So I do testing of ISOs to make sure that I get the right exposure and everything. Then my next point is identifying a good character. So ISO must be, I've done the settings where I get a little bit of feel of the background, and it should not be bright as well. And when I fire the flash, I have to ensure that just my subject pops up, but I have to get a feel of the background itself. So I do a lot of trial and error before I come to my final shots.
Okay. Okay. Thank you, sir.
Sorry for the interruption. When can we go for a question answer session? Will it be there or?
Yeah, we will do it towards the end. Yeah, we're almost towards the end. Yeah.
Within 10 minutes, Ektashi is going to have a conversation with Susan Mizzle.
Okay.
There are in the same forum as well as in YouTube.
Okay.
So I have basic 2 questions. Anyway, just to finish it.
Yeah, we're almost about to finish. Yeah. So Suresh, can you just expand on your vision with Flash?
Yeah, to me, I mean, pretty much what Sreeranj said. To me, there is a certain dynamism that comes with Flash, certain surrealism that you cannot get with just normal light. So I like to shoot normally festivals. This was Pongal in South Indian festival, in Tamilian festival actually, but in this shot and the next one as well. So yeah, normally in these kind of events, people are busy doing their own things, so you can use the flash. There won't be much happening. I like to shoot also my friends and family also with flash. So this shot and the next one were shot at home, one during the corona outbreak and the other one during a party. So for me, it's just mostly about bringing elements. I mean, light first of all, and also an element of surrealism in my shots. I enjoy that.
Right. Saumalya ji, can you come in?
Yeah. So nothing much to add. Whatever Suresh and Sri said. So it's basically sometimes I use Flash to create a surreal, unreal situation, which without Flash, a normal, just to change the normal feel of the scene to some kind of surreal. There are water droplets in front of it. Was raining, so I fired a flash. So these water droplets popped up.
Almost looks like a snowflake.
Yeah.
So how did you so in the previous picture, how did you get that like white? Like how did you portray the water droplets as being white? Like how did that come? Did you use something like special?
Nothing. Just a flash. Direct flash fired, and it was raining. So
your voice is not very clear, Saumalya.
Yeah. So it was raining. So the water droplets was falling down. So it's a direct flash which created that effect.
So did you reduce the shutter speed for getting these water droplets?
No. The droplets are mostly frozen. So I haven't reduced the shutter speed. It's a high shutter speed only. If I would have reduced the shutter speed, you would have seen straight lines instead of point droplets.
Right.
With a higher shutter speed, you could have seen like more. This is the second image, which is a reduced, not this one. Yeah, here the shutter speed is little low. While shooting the image, I just turned the camera like this. Rotate the camera so that it creates this kind of
right.
Slow. And the boy is wearing a dress where it's written on and some lines here. And this is just a direct fill flash. As the foreground was dark, here the purpose of flash is just to fill the foreground.
Right. Maybe this question, maybe one or two of you can answer, which is the lens choices, because there are so many kinds of lenses, 28, 35, 24, etc., etc. So Sreeranj, what is the lens that you would recommend for street photography? If there is one lens you could choose for life.
It all depends on the photographer's focal distance. Like I'll tell you, I shoot with a 28 mil because I like to have more information in my frame. But some people like to shoot with 35 because they want to go more closer. But for all my festivals and culture, I shoot with a 2470, which is a 1655 use Fuji crop sensor, because I cannot go with my 28 mil in all these cultures because I won't be able to, some places I won't be able to go very near. So it is about what type of photography you choose and which focal distance you're comfortable with.
All right.
So this is my, but ideally the lens for street normally uses 28 mil and 35 mil.
Right.
28 mil is more of a pancake type of lens. So, and it's not very heavy. So, I mean, depends on the camera as well. I use a Fuji, so the lens is very small. So it is easy to carry around and people don't get bothered with any long lens, big lens or something like that.
Okay. So let's do one thing. Let's ask one lens for life. What would be your one lens for life if you had only one lens? Choice for only one.
Me, I will choose 1655 because I can cover a lot of things with that. It is 2470.
Okay. What about Saumalya?
1855.
Okay. What about Jayati ji?
Same, 1655.
Okay, there seem to be a lot of popular votes for one lens. Fuji should be happy about this. What about Aniruddha sir?
1855, that's what I use on Fuji.
Okay. And Suresh?
I have only a 35.
35.
But what I want is for Fuji to give me a 2835. That would be ideal for me.
Okay. Is it already in the market or it's something that we have wish list?
No, it's my wish list.
Okay. We'll talk to them. Yeah. So moving to the next part, which is all about earning, because, as a landscape photographer, you can sell your prints very easily and make a lot of money. Fine art photographers do make money. Wedding photographers do make a lot of money. How about street photographers? How do you guys make money? If you decide to go full-time street, how does one survive? I'll start with Aniruddha sir.
I think you don't survive. As simple as that.
Okay, that's why I still hold a job.
Yeah, correct. You simply don't survive.
Okay.
To survive, you probably branch off to a kind of documentary which sells. Not every kind of documentary sells.
That's right.
But definitely, street doesn't sell.
That's true.
Until you become an educator, make a big name for yourself and become an educator. That also probably is not a lavish living, but but somehow you manage.
Okay. Sreeranj, I think Sreeranj has made a lot of money from Dubai, so he's fine.
No, not really. I made enough so that I can retire and I can travel around.
Right. But you're doing now all these mentorship programs and workshops.
Yeah. So what I want to add to it. So because just by doing streets is something you're doing for yourself. It is not to make any money out of it. And your prints hardly sell or not much people want to buy unless they are hardcore street photographers. Even the prints what I keep in my house also, my wife says, don't keep all the street photographs. Nobody will understand. Keep all the other ones.
Right.
So nobody buys these kind of images. But over a period of time, with my experience, I'm telling you, you make a good body of work. You have a good portfolio with your experience. If your work is inspiring, you can start teaching people. You can have do workshops, and you can make money out of that way to have things rolling. So otherwise, by selling prints or things, doesn't work. I do photo tours in Kerala. I do workshops and things like that. So that's how I make money out of photography.
And maybe at one point you can even release a book and let it roll itself.
Yeah, you never know. Yeah, but otherwise, with just doing street is purely like for a personal work.
That's right. Now coming to the inspiration, this will be something that everyone has to answer because each one has their own inspiration. Especially now that we are stuck at home, maybe there is a website, maybe there is a book we can order on Amazon, maybe there is a movie which can help us. So we need to know from your side, or even a photographer's name whom we can follow. So starting with since Sreeranj is already unmuted, I'll start with you.
For me?
Yeah.
Inspirations. In terms of shooting at home, my best inspiration is there is a lady photographer called Glenn Covey. She shoots only her daughter. So pictures are amazing. I mean, it shows that with your family, you can do so many things. There's a French photographer called Alan Laboyle. I don't know how to pronounce his second name. He shoots only his family. And the reason why it looks different is that the consistency in using black and white and being more creative approach it. Like the ones I shot about my dog. It has a consistency in black and white to show it in a different perspective, rather than shooting with your normal mobile phones. So there are inspirations like that who shoots their family. Right now, I can share that their works with you. You can.
No, what we're going to do is once you all mention the photographers or Instagram handles or etc., we'll compile it after this session. I'll get in touch with you. We'll compile it and we'll put it on InStreet and also on Photowalk so that people can follow it. Sure. So coming to Saumalya, any particular inspiration, not just for quarantine, but overall? You're muted right now.
So I mostly shoot color photographs, composition-based images. So among photographers, if I have to name, then I'll name Alex Webb and Raghuveer Singh.
Okay.
Among the contemporary, maybe Message.
Right. What about Suresh?
It's difficult to name one guy. I collect photo books. I have probably around 200 photo books at home. So every morning I wake up. First thing I do is after brushing my teeth is drink a coffee and look at a photo book. But if I have to name names, I'd say, because I shoot exclusively color, I'd say Harry Gruyert for his color work. And then contemporary pure street, I normally get my inspiration from a few Flickr groups. Flickr is actually a wonderful place to look at street photography, like really good contemporary street photography.
Okay. What about Aniruddha, sir?
Yeah, from a design perspective, obviously Alex Webb. Overall perspective, I'm learning a lot from many young people around on the net, many past masters, doing a lot of study of the Magnum photographers, mainly Salgado and Kudelka, but there are many others. So just to name a few won't be correct, but these are the few names which stand out.
Understood. And Jayati ji?
Yeah, there are many. I mean, just no inspiration can come from just one person. So I like Kudelka's work, and I like Raghuveer Singh, and I like Trent Parks. There's one book of his called Dream Life. I mean, that really touches me somewhere. I mean, it depends on the body of work. And Alex Webb is, I guess, everybody's all-time favorite. But I love just looking at his work. I mean, I don't think I can see a frame like that. Or I'll be able to see a frame like that.
That's right.
I mean, his pure street photography is a feast to the eye.
Right. So we will compile all this list once this is over, and we will make sure one of the InStreet members post it on InStreet, and also we'll post it on Photowalk Dubai for the Dubai audience. So I think that brings us to the end of our session. So before we conclude, I would like to say a big thank you to each one of you for agreeing to do this. I know it's been a bit slow as far as our timing goes, but I expected that because that's how passion works. It has no time limits. Before we conclude, I think we'll take some questions, at least few questions from the audience.
Before the question, we would like to thank you, Subodh, for inviting me.
Yeah, no problem. No problem.
Really,
thank you,
Thanks a
Subodh.
lot.
We're all looking for inspiration.
Thanks.
This helps me overcome the mad quarantine that we are all stuck in. Yeah.
No, this is a good initiative, no, because everybody get to hear the other's point of view, how we worked, and it's a sharing the experience is a good thing to do right now.
That's right. That's right.
And you taking the initiative, we really appreciate, and thanks for calling us.
No problem at all. If you guys want, you can all put on your cameras and we can look at each other and take few questions and interact before we conclude. I know it's